Hello everybody. Welcome to the channel if you are new, and welcome back if you are already a subscriber. In today's video, we are doing a very long overdue July flip through. Very summer-ween of us. Basically, I got behind in my daily pages, so I decided that I wasn't gonna flip through months until all the dailies were done so that I could do everything at one time. I am also not gonna be flipping my budget journal or my Hobonichi weeks in these videos, mainly because I have been very inconsistent with both of them. So I just figured I would give you an old-fashioned, really good Hobonichi cousin flip through until we all get caught up and back in our groove. So here we have it. So let's get started. So very quickly, I just want to take a look at the very sad yearly section. So you're gonna see where I did manage to track by color if I was under, over, or over 12,000 steps. So I have pink for under 10,000 steps, yellow if I'm 10,000 or over, and then if I'm 12,000 or over, I got that pretty light green color, so blue-green color. I wanted to continue doing the same thing, and I really think I'm going to use this spread for something similar to this going into 2025, but I'm not 100% sure what that's gonna look like yet, so I may use some of these spreads to experiment with that. I think it's gonna be a great place for me to track kind of like steps, cycle, and intimacy on a very small level, and then use something else or a daily page to track more of like the routine that I'm doing. So we'll see how that goes. So just a quick little glance there. Then hopping over to my monthly spread, I do use the Coffee Monster Co. 2024. That is Banks. She has thoughts. I've been using the Coffee Monster Co. 2024 stickers for this year. I'm actually on theme for once. Normally I'll pick like a different year. I still haven't decided. I know I'm gonna have like a lot of 2025 chatter and thoughts because we're obviously in October and we're inching towards time to make some decisions. So I don't know if I'm gonna go with this floral theme again. I just thought it really went well with this Hobonichi Han. I really like the theme she's come up with for 2025. I'm just not sold yet. Like, I really don't know what I want. I know I only really used this little sticker. I didn't really use anything else from those monthly kits. So I'm kind of on the fence if I just buy these again and use the kits from last year to just like save some money and stash bash a bit. Let me know what your thoughts are and what you guys are doing for 2025. Over here, I've got my cleaning bar. Because there was some vacation time down here at the very end of the month, I did okay with the cleaning, like in terms of topical, but I really didn't get deep into it. Like I didn't get under my sink or to the windows and like high dusting and like deep in it. And I definitely didn't do a bunch of stuff with my car or again, more deep cleaning. And then I used the big monthly spread to chart videos. As you can see, I definitely fell off here at the end of the month. I started thinking about it yesterday. I wondered how many videos I've missed this year. I know that I have gotten a lot better about making sure I would post consistently and even through me being out of town. And I felt like life really just got crazy this year and really made it difficult for me to stay on track at some points. As always, I endeavor to do better, and I'm always so grateful that nobody like comes at me with like pitchforks whenever I don't have an upload for a week or something. So thank you guys for your patience. You're very unlike the Banks creature at my feet. I think she just wants snacks. So I might have to pause and get her set up so that we can do this without her yelling. Please pause. Okay, the beast has now been fed, which will make my editing process a little bit more difficult and possibly mean that my upload is delayed a little bit, but such is life and we will move on. So we're gonna flip over to the weekly spreads. So this first week of July, I was really into the idea of stash bashing a little bit. This is from a Happy Planner kind of habit book. I don't remember the exact name of it, and I just knew it would fit perfectly and thought I'd give it a go. I do like this. I did not get to use this to its full abilities, I think, this particular week, but I kind of like it being there. It takes up a lot of space instead of it being blank, which it typically is. So I thought it was kind of nice. And then I wanted to use this Marabou designed by Brandy Brown book. That's a lot of B's from the Happy Planner. And so I really just tried to utilize it. So I think I did a pretty good job about popping in a good amount of stickers. So that was really nice. Obviously, we're going to go through the dailies of all this, so I don't want to get too crazy. Some things that I like about this spread, again, I'd love to give this a go, even though it's not from that book. I like the coloring. I thought this was rather clever of me to use the biomes washi tape to mark in that Jeff and I had been kind of out at the property and just looking around out there. I thought that looked really cute. Oh, this is a fun memory. Just like having the afternoon to play on the tractor and cook burgers. That was really nice. I think this is my first sourdough loaf. I think it was maybe my first or my second. I think it was the second because I would have maybe baked it. Oh, baked. See, I don't even read my own handwriting. So that was my second sourdough, which is fun. This next week, I wanted to, again, continue with the stash bashing, and I feel like I'm gonna see a lot of that going into 2025 as well. I remember once upon a time, I would have a whole sticker book dedicated to the week. This was back in Happy Planner days, obviously. And it would be these are your four for the month kind of thing. And it was always because there were no dailies or anything like that. So it was a whole different world of planning at that time. But I've really been trying to pull these into my dailies and my weeklies a little bit more before buying more stickers that I don't need, but I think I need. So this is from Paige Evans. I got it from Tuesday Morning back when they were still such a thing. They've all gone bankrupt now. Pre-COVID, you could really get a good amount of good stuff. But I used this sticker book and mainly there was a sheet that kind of had all these different colors, and I wanted to use that. So I think this is kind of where I start doing the modified 12/330s, maybe. Another thing, I love this self-care evening. Provino's, Crumble, Nordstrom's Rack. Could it get any better? I really like this sticker for Ben and Maddie's wedding. I think that's so appropriate because they work at my vet's office and we found them through having a rabbit. Lunch date with Jeffrey, and this is about the time I really, thank goodness we're getting HHN 365 podcast we're starting. Jeff's new bed got delivered. Super fun. Oh, I think this is the first time I do the habit tracker, Helen, and I definitely want to do that more moving forward. This next week, I'm getting back to a classic, washi and stickers vibe. Again, trying the habit tracker out again. This week, I was using one of the nautical themed washi tapes from the Q2 subscription. And I just remember thinking back, and I know if you've watched one of my previous videos, I was so excited because the first subscription was all about city life, and I ended up going to New Orleans in the first quarter of the year. And then in the second quarter of the year, July technically is July 2nd. Yes. 3rd, 4th. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, technically, is it in the third quarter? Yeah, because we're in fourth quarter. Wow, this year has flown, guys. So in the Q2 subscription, we got the nautical themed, and then I was going to the beach in Q3, which is July, just barely outside of Q2. But I was able to have them in time to plan, which was super nice to have, instead of retroactively like I did the first quarter. I didn't even talk about this. I did not even talk about this spread at all. I start doing an ab challenge around this time. I wish I had noted when Jen's surgeries were a little bit better because it was a crazy time. I love the colors of this. Like, I love that I use like gray and blue. I am definitely a fan of using like the softer colors when I can and just letting the black be kind of supplemental. So I really like the color of this. I would definitely do a spread with this color theming again. I don't love the gray over here, but like this part I like. This is the last full week of July. So again, using one of those quarterly washies. I was actually at the beach a majority of this week. So we left on Thursday and came back the following Tuesday. So I thought this would be the best week for the beach. There was a lot of getting ready for the beach. There was a lot of cooking, a lot of prepping the house because I was supposed to have someone I was supposed to have a family friend who also works at our vet's office coming to check in on Banks. And unfortunately, she had some back issues and my mom was an angel and came and watched over her and watered the plants. But it was definitely a chaotic situation. I love that these, and if you want to catch a cool video, I usually will do, I'll be doing one soon for the October trip, but if I'm unable to do like a plan with me or really plan in real time, I use this as like a memory keeping space. And so I always love looking back and seeing, so like, where's the Waffle House? Do you smell fried chicken? We'll talk about that more in the dailies. I really didn't feel very well. I felt very like socially awkward and challenged. So I like wasn't a social butterfly the night we got there. Again, just more memory keeping. I finished my Lord of the Rings book while I was on the trip. I think I actually did a vlog for this day. We caught a rainbow on Sunday. I drank margaritas in the ocean. There was a manatee that almost scared the crap out of everybody. And then this is the last few days of July. And as we head into August, I will be very redundant and probably talk about this entire spread all over again when I do the August flip through. So I just want to hit the high points a little bit. These are the last few days of our trip. And then we came home that Wednesday. That also happened. No, we came home on Tuesday. And I was super happy because we actually ended up going to White Oak Pastures and listened to the podcast about it. My first day back to work wasn't too bad. I did treat myself to lunch. It was Harry Potter's 44th birthday, so I watched The Sorcerer's Stone. I started my bagels that morning, which completely screwed up my time because it meant that they basically proofed all day. And then I did the stretch and I had to do the stretch and folds like overnight and I was exhausted, completely exhausted. And then I'm using a Harry Potter washi from Every Minute a Story because it was Harry Potter's birthday week. So I usually try to pop that in for him. Then we're going to hop over to the dailies. First and foremost, I'm going to say I freaking hate this spread. I hate the lettering. I'm not a fan. I like this concept, the little like sticky note concept. I liked this like trackery thing. This hand lettering is just terrible and I don't really love it. It was actually wing day. And so the apartment had catered wings and then I had been planning to make homemade pizza. So that all worked out really well. The ellipticals were all taken, so I did a 12/3/30 it looks like. And then I have some notes. I love this note. Holy shit, Allison's face when she realizes she misinterpreted Viserys's last words. Fuck, hot mess. Love that. I need to do better with my dailies because that's when I catch those little notes, really. This is a repurposed page. So basically, if I couldn't figure out what the heck happened, and this is going to happen a good bit in August because it really just gets squirrely around the August spread. So you're going to get a lot of opportunities to see what I do with a kind of like blank page in my spread, like how I would like to fill it. And I'm actually kind of excited because I think I'm going to turn them all into watch lists before it's all over. But this was my HHN 33 watch list with the Sweet Bean Plans, I think like horror bookshelf washi. I'm not sure of the exact name. I think you can still pick it up as of right now from the shop. But it's basically all the movies I would need to watch to be ready for Halloween Horror Nights. I did watch all of the Insidious movies before I left. I have seen all of the Ghostbusters, but basically Frozen Empire was the only one that wasn't free or I didn't have to have another subscription for. So I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to pay for it. I've already seen it. I'm good. And then I did get to watch Quiet Place day 1 because a friend of mine let me borrow her Paramount info. Happy Death Day 1, 2, Freaky. I am obsessed, you guys. I came into the Blumhouse world with Purge, and I was so excited to go into this year's event and know that Blumhouse was going to kind of have like a selfie zone. Normally that's not my jam, but what I was excited about is that the Purge characters were going to be walking around because that was how I got into the event. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, consider yourself lucky for not having to listen to me rant about it for the last like 3 months. But basically Purge is something that's very near and dear to me, and I was very excited. And unfortunately it rained the night of our event, which I haven't really talked about yet because I haven't posted my memory keeping or anything like that, but it ended up raining. And so basically scare zones did not exist. I've only had that happen one other time in the times that I've been going to the event. And for the record, I have been going to the event now I have completed 10 years. And it's crazy. This year was it felt like this year was trying me. The whole process to get there, I had so much anxiety and a lot of ups and downs with my moods going into it. It was just crazy. It was a crazy thing. It was a crazy event once I got there, and I had all kind of feelings. So I don't really know. I don't know where I stand with HHN moving forward. So we'll see how we dissect that frog in 2025. I can't even anymore. But I love this spread. I love kind of how clean it is, and I love the checklist of Purge. I'll definitely be doing some more watch lists with the extra pages. This was a remote day. It was semi-productive apparently. I started the second sourdough loaf. I made jalapenos out of Carly's jalapenos, thank you, and tried a cracker recipe. At this point, I was really struggling with, we had hired a new employee like at the beginning of May. So at this point, she's about a month in, and I'm still struggling with trying to find my groove at this stage because my remote days used to be like my days to kind of like film, tidy my house, power through reconciling spreadsheets, and it was more of a low impact work day. And then when I was in the office, it was training and just like go, go, go. And I really hadn't gotten that rhythm back. And in the same vein, things were slowly kind of starting to go back to normal a little bit with Jeff, but we were still in the middle of a big turmoil with stuff we were dealing with. It was just a chaotic time. And so I was really starting to get quite tired and cranky. I love that this is the hourglass workout that I've talked about several times, but this is just the abs and arms side. I've done my side crunches a bunch of different ways at this point, and I've now completely switched to where you hold the weight and you like bend over. I don't do very well with the laying down side crunches. I just don't have good form that way. I was definitely, and still am, very much in my overalls era. I was thinking about that when I went to the gym this morning. I'm so excited to put my overalls on today. I feel like my lighting is really bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to like shake the camera if I shook it too much. The next morning there was this big lunar moth outside that we took some pictures of. It's like, why is that there? That's so odd. And also, I was like, why am I off? And I'm like, oh, because it was the 4th of July, you dingbat. So I was very frustrated. Frustrating Friday. So we straightened up Jeff's house, and then we went to Monroe. And then I really, like, one thing about long weekends, like, this was literally my brain dump of all the things I wanted to do over the long weekend. And long weekends always seem to miss for me. Like, I get so excited that I'm going to accomplish all this shit and I'm going to have this very well-rounded experience. So I typically try to, like, make sure I clean something and I craft something and then I watch something and then I work out and I might cook something. It's like I want to check all the boxes every single day. And if that doesn't happen, like, maybe I have more of a cooking heavy day, then I'll put more relaxing on one day. And it just never seems to just feel restorative. And this day was literally, I felt like robbed from me, because I had things that I wanted to do that day and I had voiced, hey, I need to do these things. And it just, like, kept getting ignored and railroaded. And I was just like, I was over it. I was really, really over it. Yeah. So I had a rant about that. We watched Arcadian. It was a good suspense thriller. I wouldn't rewatch it. I just felt like it was an underdeveloped storyline. And the monsters were terrifying. I really would have liked to have known more about their background, etc. And then Nicolas Cage. And I also watched Longlegs, which I won't talk about for another few videos, but I felt the same way about Longlegs and Arcadian, where it's like, okay, so Nick Cage is supposed to be your star, but, like, he gets, like, nothing in the movie. It's like a blip. I'm trying to remember what movie it's in, what movie it is that Taylor Swift is in. And she's only in it for, like, a second before she gets hit by a car. But they, like, put her on the thing. And it's just like, but she was in it for, like, a hot half a second. Now, Nick Cage is in these movies more than that. But it's not Catch Me If You Can. I can't remember the name of it. But it's, like, in my head. And I can see the, like, poster. But anyways. This was really exciting. For the first time, I had done for the first time in a while, I had done a run and had no pain. I'm hoping that I can do a 30-minute run this upcoming weekend and not feel any pain. I'm going to start small and work my way back up. Jeff and I made kind of like a wish list, so to speak. Well, he put one wish down and I did kind of a wish list of things I want to do before the end of the year. And one of them is to restart my marathon training. Ma'am, you have had snacks. You need attention. I can only provide one set of attention. We're going to hold you for a little bit so that you don't jump up here. Thanks, once again, interrupting with the filming. As I was saying, I'm hoping to get back to marathon training. I would like to run in the Disney Halloween marathon that's out at Disneyland next year. I think that would be really fun. I know my big goal is to run the full marathon that's typically in January. I think that's going to have to be a 2026 goal. And then I had a cozy Saturday. We had brunch at Cup and Saucer and headed to the Ungalow. Again, honestly, I was really just, like, annoyed because Jeff was like, I just want to be clear. I'm so glad my boyfriend wants to spend time with me. But it's very hard when my workload is what it is and I'm not getting that time during the week to get things done. And then I can't get things done on the weekend because I want to spend time with him. So I was just really not in a good headspace. I was a productive couch potato, which basically means that I worked on April spreads because I was working on April and July. And I just, like, powered through a bunch of spreads. Jeff made shrimp and grits and it was delicious. Jeff followed me home, so I didn't get to run errands. And then we watched Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire. I don't think Jeffrey was very impressed. I thought it was a good movie. I need to, like, get more into the franchise. I really enjoyed Monarch. And then when we were watching the movie, I was like, oh my God, I know what Monarch is, or I know what this is, or I know where this line is from, or what they're talking about. But I didn't have all the details. And if you guys have followed me for any amount of time, you'll know I'm a franchise gal and I really enjoy, like, series and I love to watch a show and listen to the podcast and read the book. Like, I want all the parts and pieces if I can get them. Moving on into this Monday, this was the week that I was using the Pink Paisley book. So, yep, we have a friend now, everyone. She's here. Maybe if she sits down. This is where we are at for the day. Gracious help us. Ma'am. Okay. I'll kind of keep us in frame the best I can around the cat. That's just where we're at. But I was using this sticker book, and I was also trying to pull stickers that were themed for that color for the day. So like Monday was that pretty like kind of sea foam teal color. I was starting to plan for free day. At the time that we first started planning, I really wanted us to go to Magic Kingdom the day after Halloween Horror Nights, which was insane. It was insane. And ultimately we ditched the idea and we decided that we were just going to do like a monorail crawl to try to get all of the espresso martinis. But at this point we were thinking Magic Kingdom. And I'm very glad that we didn't, because not only did it rain that day, ultimately, also, that would have meant no fireworks, which was a huge reason that we were going, and it just wouldn't have been fun in the rain. And yeah, very glad we didn't do that. The next day I'm navigating around the cat. Lovely. Binks woke us up with a hairball at 3:30. Ma'am. I do like this kind of ripped out note thing again I've got going on. This was the self-care day. I decided to go for it. I've got some content planning in here. I actually really like these 2 pages. I really do. I was also trying to like read my notes that we were going to leave for the beach in 16 days. Ma'am, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. No promises that she's not going to be back up here in like 2 minutes, but we are where we are. I'm doing some pricing. This is when I'm realizing that it may be a little bit more expensive than our budgets were going to allow to do Magic Kingdom. Not a great start. Didn't sleep well. My run wasn't great because of all that. More ranting about the remote blehness. So not a lot going on here. Just kind of a lot of cranky ranting. Talking about some situations with Jeff and his dad. It was actually Mojito Day, so I kind of peopled. I basically peopled long enough to go get a mojito, hide in Tali's office, who works for our clubhouse, and I like sat in her office to drink my mojito, quickly went and refilled it, and then scurried back home. Fun fact, I like mojitos. That was what we learned out of that. And then I just kind of had a quiet night. These days, it's more of just like, these days were fun and really creative. And then I can tell I'm like slumping because I've been at work. I'm not getting restored. I need like a me weekend, essentially. And that was not going to be in the cards, really. This was day 1 of my attempt at the 10-day ab challenge. I don't think I completed it. It was the Lily Sabri Snatch Waist in 10 days video. I got pretty far and I did like her content. I just didn't love that I didn't have time to finish it, really. Like, I just kind of couldn't commit. I have a problem with like challenges sometimes. They're challenging. Another remote day stolen by a webinar. I did go to Michael's and Target just to get a bit of a brain break, and I needed to get some jars. At the time, I thought that I was gonna, last year, I made these like little snack jars. So I took those, like, I think they're like 16 ounce maybe. There might be a little bit more, but they're jars about this size. And I put like a few snacks, and then like for the adults, I put like a little shot of like shot size of tequila, I think, in each one, and like a moonshine jar, and just like raw nuts and a granola bar. And then for the kids, they had like goldfish and Teddy Grahams and stuff like that, just to have little snacks. And then you could use the jar to put your seashells in. But the reality is that we collect so many seashells, they have to go in like a freaking Tupperware when we get home. So they're actually, I'm staring right at them. They're like on top of my cupboards, which will be fine because I can use them to like give people sourdough starter. I can make pickles and gift them and not worry about trying to get my jar back. Like, honestly, $5 well spent because I had a coupon, so no big deal. Ben and Madison's wedding was the next day. So lovely. I love doing these DIY stickers. I use like a matte sticker paper to produce them, and then I use the app Photo Room to take out the background. So that's how I do that. I don't love this spread, like how it turned out. I don't like the thicker lettering. I feel like this was like a different pen. Like this might have been like my Pilot G2. Don't love that for me. But we just had a lazy day. I was really tired. We had gotten back from the wedding really late. So I slept in and then went and met Jeff for lunch. And then we tried out his new mattress. He had just gotten a Tempur-Pedic, and we just kind of watched movies upstairs and chilled out. And then Monday, I had to drive home and then drive to the office, which is not my favorite thing to have to do. I'm gonna have to do that tomorrow. I typically try to like drive home on a remote morning or something like that. Like, I don't really love having to drive an hour and change to get home, feed the cat, get ready, and then go on to the office for the day. It's just, it feels like you had a whole morning before you even get to work, which is kind of frustrating. I did start listening to HHN 365 that morning. Like, we were finally like kind of getting episodes, and like a lot of leaks had come out, and a lot of information early in the year. Normally I don't think we had that amount of information, but it was really fun, and I was definitely burying my head in the sand. I had a lot of anxiety built up about the beach trip, and it proved to be completely sound. Like, people were like, was that as bad as like you thought it was gonna be? Yes it was. I just, as a group and as a family, I feel like it has just been a lot for the year, and I didn't think that we were in a place where all being together was going to be great. And ma'am, Lord help us. Can we still see everything? We can still see everything. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. And for the record, I am not allergic to cats. It is fall allergies. We are a mess, but we are going to power through, and we're going to get this video done. Okay, hold on. So to save the Monday, I did get a nostalgic lunch, and this was really exciting because there is this pasta from a restaurant that I have been eating since I was like 10 years old. And I had not had it in years because it's not like a fancy restaurant. So they have a tendency to like overcook the pasta, or the sauce is too thin or something. And so I really have to like be in an accepting place and be willing to try it again and know that it may not come out perfect. You guys, it came out perfect. It was like the gods shined on me, and they were like, we will give you this perfect pasta. And I have had it several times since, and it's been perfect every time. But it is a place, thankfully, right down the street from my apartment. This day, I actually had to drive all the way from the office and back, and it was a very low-key day. I did get my first Once More with Love order, which was really fun. Oh no, I placed it. My bad. I placed it that day because they had a 10% off because they were launching new washi stickers. The AC went out in my apartment, and Louise had to come and fix it very quickly before the evening. Man, oh goodness. I love how she's been in the bed all afternoon or all morning, and then now needs to like get up and get going. This was a little bit of trip planning. So these were all the things that I wanted to make. I wanted to make 3 different quiches. We were in the power of 3 here. 3 different batches of bagels, 3 different kinds of cookies, pickles. I was considering lasagna soup. I did not do that. All the content that I needed to film before I left. And then these were just like to-dos that I needed to do. I was very ADHD and distracted. I did love, this was like my go-to outfit of the time, which was these floral Doc Martens that I got. This black BCBG like short sleeve like t-shirt style dress, and then I have this Free People cardigan that's just like very boho-y, and it's like this taupe khaki-ish color, and it just all worked, and it was so flowy and cute, and was just like, I am screaming for like spooky season in the middle of summer. Please give it to me. And I was also trying to break in my Doc Martens, so it all worked out. There was speaking of spooky season, there was a post that said that on July 16th of 1993, Hocus Pocus released, which was 31 years ago, which was really cool. And then I had a quiet evening. It says 1 week to go. So we had 1 week left before we went to the beach, and I kind of freak out a little bit, because again, I'm not getting that remote day time. So it's like, normally I would spread out the cleaning, and I would, y'all, this child, we're just here at her beck and call today. But again, having a ton of anxiety about the fact that I feel like I'm being very redundant, but this really was a season, you guys, like a full-on season where I was getting like no restorative time, and what I was getting wasn't enough. And I was also staring down the barrel of like having to get my house ready and myself ready and my job ready to leave to go on a trip that was also not going to be restorative. And I was just like, the anxiety was like a 15 out of 10. I was just like not in a good headspace. But it looks like I did some meal prep that day and prepped the sourdough pie crust for the quiches that I would make. So this is kind of like where we're starting to get into, you know, final week of things before I leave. Yeah. This cat. I hope you guys can see some of these spreads. Sweet Lord, help us. So listening to Halloween Horror Nights podcast, I had 3 days and counting before I leave the office. So I know I just said a week, and then I had 3 days left in the office. That's what that means. Lots of financial stress as well. That was another caveat of the stress, was that it was going to be more expensive than our beach trip was last year as a group, and that wasn't sitting well with me. This was all of the meals I wanted to make. Then I did a video on this actually, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but so these were all the meals. This was the cooking schedule. Then this was all the groceries that I needed to get. Like I said, I did a video on this already, and then I had the sticky note for all the things we needed to get in Port St. Joe specifically once we got there. I like this Once More with Love food washi that I chose to use. Again, lots of this was retroactive, so the order was here, even though according to Dailies I had just placed the order. Very early start. I have no idea, but I just got up at 4 a.m. I've gone through a few phases like that. I think it's my anxiety. I think it's like I'm afraid that once the world gets up and going, I'm going to be robbed of my day. So I'm just like, I have to get up before everybody and do everything. I got a new lasagna pan. I love it. I absolutely freaking love it. And had to make it. Literally, it makes double the amount of lasagna I normally make. So I have a love-hate with it right now, because it means it's more expensive to make lasagna. So there's that. And then we watched The Boys season finale, which was wild. They actually they took down the name of it because it was supposed to be called Assassination Run. And it premiered several days after the attempt on Trump. And that was just insane. Like that whole time frame, like there's random political news throughout here, like literally on the next page as well. So it's crazy that Jeff and I finished watching the show. I did get to FaceTime with Tay to actually kind of continue planning. And just like I said, you know, we were kind of flirting with the idea of what to do with this free day. And I kind of wanted to give it to her in numbers and be like, hey, I don't think that this is going to work for either of us. She had plans leading up to the trip as well that were going to eat into her budget. So long story short, we cut the Magic Kingdom, but we decided that, hey, what do you think about coming to stay with me for a few days? Which she actually did. She came and she stayed. So spoiler alert, I know we're not there yet. And we go up and down a little bit on that roller coaster in the months to come. But yeah, so it's really cool to like see it in print that it's like, okay, so in July, I already had this like vision that she was going to come stay. And then here is 4 days to go until we leave. So it's just me having a nice panic attack, anxiety attack about that. And then election news. So this is the day that Biden withdrew from the 2024 campaign and he backed Kamala. And it was just such a shock because I've never seen anything like that happen before. And I was curious how in the world like that was going to go, because obviously the election's in November, and now in the timeline of filming this, it's like literally a few weeks away. So it's like, holy freaking cow. Like, what a short amount of time to like pivot, switch gears, get everything going. So it was a really crazy, like, whoa thing. This following day, I had a really good, like, productive start. And then after my workout, I just hard crashed. Like, I felt really nauseous and like couldn't do anything. And I was supposed to start my bagels, which definitely bit me in the ass the very next day. And so I wrote, suck it up, you got this, because I was like, I mean, granted, getting nauseous wasn't my fault per se, but I really just kind of had to deal with it. And I ended up starting the bagels and then having to come home like mid-morning from the office to stretch and fold them, work remote, stretch and fold them. And in the process of doing that, I actually missed a stretch and fold. The bagels turned out okay, but they would have been better if I had had one more in there. I picked up the Guts cookie. I'm giving it a 4.5 because I don't love the sprinkles, and I do feel like the jam was a little bit harsh. Like, I wish it had been a little bit less, but it was really cute and really pretty, and I loved the vanilla and the berry, and I'd been waiting for weeks for it to get to Atlanta, and I was so bummed that it was coming like the week we were leaving. So I actually ended up buying it and then taking it to the beach with us because I just wanted to, like, I wanted it and I was gonna eat it, but yeah. So I just went to the beach. And I got a bunch of the cookies baked. Again, now we're like in the final countdown before we leave. And this is all the things. So this is the last day. So this was boil the bagels, make the bagels, bake all the cookies. Thankfully, I had on Monday like powered through so much of my workload because I'm always nervous that my boss or a client or my coworkers, like, they'll find last minute things that they forgot to give to me, ask me about, or like forgot I was going to be gone when they would need to ask me about it. So I leave that margin for them, I've learned. So what I do is I knocked out everything humanly possible that Monday, and then left like Tuesday and Wednesday with like lighter loads or things that were just continuing, or I was hoping to wrap up before I left. So thankfully I did have a good amount of time, but I finished baking the cookies so late. And Jeff was really nice, and he was completely fine with us dropping them off the next morning. This is when I found out that the person that was going to cat sit for me might not be able to due to back issues, which became really stressful. And my mom was an angel and really did come help out and watch her through our vacation. Now, I have done a spread on these already. Like, I think I did like a voiceover or something, or maybe I did a flip. I did some kind of video, because the pages have been done for a while. So I'm not going to get too into details, but this was our travel day. Again, I really, like, we left about 8 and we got there about 3. We were the first to arrive. I really just was not, I didn't want to people with anybody. Like, I didn't feel good about myself. I wasn't in a great headspace. So I kind of went to bed early, which was funny because everybody else stayed up way too late. Like, they went way too hard. I was like, y'all, it was literally not even the first full day of vacation. Like, it was the first afternoon, and you guys are all hungover now and you can't enjoy day one. But this is a picture of Owen and I. One thing I make sure to do every single morning when I'm at the beach is I make my coffee. And I go outside and I walk the beach until my coffee is gone and collect shells. And I freaking loved, I have these, like, again, I'm in my overalls era. And I bought these last year, but they're the Stony Clover Target collaboration overalls. And I was putting seashells, and I did find a sand dollar, and I had it in my pocket. And I had my hair in braids. I was in such a better mood. And I think it was just, again, like, so much pressure to get to this point, and I really didn't know. I wish I had gone into the vacation with a better plan to be like, I want this for me. I want this to happen, and this to happen, and I will make this happen because this is my trip too. And I really just feel like I succumbed to the anxiety and the crazy and the awkwardness instead of taking control of it. Day 2. So this is second full day. I finally braved the water so that I could ride my Kevin float. It took some liquid courage, but I also filmed a vlog this day, and I finished Lord of the Rings. I'm still reading the appendix from time to time, but the actual story I'm done. Day 3, we all ended up going to, no, that's not here yet. So, Jeff and I did some exploring at a nearby peninsula, and then I spent literally the whole day in the water, I think. Again, liquid courage. And then I had watched this, like, traumatizing Titanic documentary the day before, or the night before, which caused me to sleep completely terribly. So we just started watching, like, nostalgic shows after that. So we watched Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and Fern Gully. Like, we kept it, like, really childlike in a way. And then this was our last day, and we went to Apalachicola, and we were going to try to swim, but there were stingrays at that point. And I don't fuck with stingrays. I don't fuck with jellyfish either, but I'd kind of gotten okay with them, and it was fine. And then we got up the next morning and took a family photo, and then traveled. I started reading Disney War, and then we went to White Oak Pastures. So this is a tip-in. It's, like, going to be probably the only tip-in for my entire year, but I had to cut it down a little bit, but it's from White Oak, which is all about traditional farming, but also regenerative farming. So basically no waste. So I think that's incredible, and something that Jeff and I are really into doing at some point in our lives when we have the space to do so. So we're hoping to go visit there again and, like, stay overnight and take some courses, but literally everything gets used, which I think is so great. So if you want to check out info on that, you can check this out, whiteoakpastures.com. Number, they're in Bluffton, Georgia. And then the very last spread is, like, meh. It's not my favorite that I've ever done, mainly because I tried a new hand lettering style and I think it looks really ugly. So I wish I could just cover that up. But I did a big old brain dump because this was, like, kind of this was my first day back, not kind of. So I was actually remote, but I needed to kind of brain dump everything that needed to be done in the house. I was meal planning, prepping for Lunasaw, which is on the 1st, and back to work. So a lot going on. Again, I treated myself to buffaloes, which is sounding really good now that I've talked about it so much again. And again, it was Harry Potter's birthday, so I watched The Sorcerer's Stone, and I just kind of talked a little bit about kind of Sunday scaries on a Wednesday because I was going back to work after being gone for a little bit of time. So that is our video. Thank you for being patient with me and Banks. because this was just a whole mess. And I'm so sorry that my nails look tragic. But I hope you guys gained some inspiration. Again, I'm so sorry for the lateness of it. I'm gonna work on trying to crank out these uncompleted dailies as quickly as I can so that we can get back on track. I don't know that I'm gonna be bringing other planners into the mix. Really, in these flip throughs, I really want to try some things in November and December as far as using other planners or tracking before I make my final choices on what I'm going to carry over into 2025. And I might bring some in to show you guys. But I think it's more about me just getting that consistency back. So a main piece of advice I would give you is make sure your daily page for that day is done. And then if you have additional time to go back and retroactively plan, do so. And I feel like that's really been my saving grace this year, because in past years, I've basically been like, oh, I need to go back and do like all these old spreads. And then the problem is you just like continue to back them up. So it's been really nice to like have some days that were like in real time and then others to help, because sometimes the real time days are like, oh, I was still feeling that way the next day, or oh, here's kind of how this got started the day before, or it's carryover, and it just kind of helps give you a little bit of a like peek into maybe how you were feeling in between the days you missed. So I hope that that helps, and I hope you guys enjoyed this flip through. And until the next video, enjoy creating your own little wonderlands. Bye from Banks and I.